Hello. This is assignment 3.2, and this is going to be really quick. I'm just going to pretty much give the guidelines for this writing assignment. It's going to be an analysis paragraph and a close reading, and most of the tutorial is in a separate video that I recorded a while ago, which is how to write an analysis paragraph. So that's one of the things I'll talk about in just a second. But by the end of this introduction to the assignment, you should be able to write an analysis paragraph on the following prompt. The passages that we're going to focus on are the speech that you should have read on Monday. If you haven't completed assignment 3.1, you should do that before this one because one of the texts that you took the multiple choice on is going to be used in this as well. So we're going to focus on Elie Wiesel's acceptance speech for the Nobel Prize and George Orwell's Animal Farm. You're going to use chapter 7 of Animal Farm. Both of these pieces, both texts, both of them warn against refusing to learn from the past or from history. So they both have a message of warning. And your question that you need to be writing about is how do both Wiesel and Orwell, George Orwell, use literary devices to demonstrate the danger in forgetting. So by the end of this, you should be ready to write about that. What you got to do before? Read chapter 7 of Animal Farm if you haven't done that already. Read the speech from Monday. Again, I said make sure you should complete assignment 3.1, well, not 31, first. And then review the video on how to write an analysis paragraph, which I will link on Teams. It'll be a YouTube video. I'll say on YouTube. Okay, so you need to do these 3 things before. Do the reading, watch the video. All right, here are some questions for you to think about before you go into writing this paragraph. Just some guiding questions to think about while you're reading and then also while you're writing. What is dangerous about forgetting? If you forget a mistake, how will that result in the future? A personal mistake or maybe a mistake as in a national or family, a mistake that was made from your family, like a group of people. What are mistakes you should have learned from in the past? What are mistakes our country or our world should learn from? And how do dictators normally start their reign of power? So you can start thinking about dictatorships as we get into chapter 7. And what is similar between all dictators. Okay, I'm just going to do a very, very, very quick review of the 3 pieces of an analysis paragraph. This is not like comprehensive at all. This is just some reminders. So you need a thesis statement. This is pretty much your criteria for success in this analysis paragraph. Your thesis needs to have a claim that directly answers the prompt. It needs to be a sentence towards the beginning of the paragraph that does these 3 things. It has the title, the author, and the genre. It answers the prompt. It answers this very straightforward question, so you don't have to break down this prompt into questions like we have in the past. And make sure that you can identify devices in this thesis and describe it in some way. So if the prompt was, analyze how Ta-Nehisi Coates uses literary techniques to convey the internal conflict. In the text, the water dancer title. Here, let me do some annotating here. Okay, we've got title. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to do it with the cursor. Title here, The Water Dancer. Written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, author, and genre. This one actually doesn't have the genre, this example, but in the text, we would say in the novel and speech for ours. The author uses riveting dialogue, describing the literary device, which is dialogue, and searing, describing. So we talked about adjectives last week. This is just using adjectives to beef up this thesis statement here. So they're going to analyze diction and dialogue to convey the narrator's dissatisfaction with his job. So they've also identified the internal conflict here. This one has all 3 of these pieces. You might want to pause the video right now and just compare between the example and the 3 things that your thesis needs to have. I'm going to move on to talk about context. Let me move this a little bit. Context, evidence, and analysis. You need quoted evidence that gives background knowledge for this is context that we've talked about in the past. It needs 2 quotes that support your thesis, so you need to find at least 2 pieces of quoted evidence. It has to connect the idea in your explanation about the quotes back to your thesis. This is nothing new, you guys. You need to make this connection between what you found in the text and what you originally said in your thesis. And it needs to name how the author used a literary device to convey your thesis. So explain why that author used that specific device in order to achieve their purpose. Which the question that you're trying to answer, remember, is both of these authors are demonstrating the danger in forgetting. So how are they conveying their message with what? Oh no. With what literary devices? So I gotta move fast now. Your conclusion needs to end with a broader theme, a thematic message. The sentence should not look like these are just basic ideas about race, the environment, gender, teen pregnancy, which is pretty specific. But notice how the actual sentence is more complex than the actual idea. So start with the thematic idea and then build a more complex sentence around the thematic idea that you end up with for your conclusion. Okay, so here's your close read, and I'm going to include your prompt as well. Go back to pages 79 through 81 and read for evidence. This is about Squealer reconstructing the memories of what happened during the Battle of Cowshed, so you need to go back through those 4 or 3 pages and read for evidence for the prompt. And then go back to that speech and think through the guiding questions that I had up here while you read the speech again. And then you'll submit your analysis paragraph on a Microsoft form. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be open for office hours, and this is just an overview of assignment 3.2.